Uh, Hello everyone. So hope you all are doing well. And today we have a special guest with us, Daniel. And like a short introduction, he's in Microsoft MVP, and he's a consecutively three times MVP. Just he got selected again, and he's a cloud and software engineer. And he have a amazing experience with Azure. And last time also we have done a session with the Daniel. And I hope like this session will be more amazing with him. And the topic is like computer vision in web application. So I would say if your friends are there, just call them because this session will be going to be a very amazing session for all. So yes, all to the Daniel. Let's start the session.
Thank you very much for that introduction and also for inviting me to exchange
Thank you so
knowledge
much.
here in the community. Yeah, sure. I have the presentation here. Yeah, you can see now. And wow, it's a whole pleasure to be here. And also because my native language is Spanish, so I have the opportunity to practice my
No
English as
problem.
well.
It's awesome. Your English is awesome. And Daniel, if you have any link to share with our audience, like if our folks, you can just send me. I will be sharing with them. Any link you want to share with them.
Okay, sure.
Any
Uh,
resources or any link.
yeah, not for the moment, but
Yeah, after that,
yeah.
after that.
Mhm.
Sure.
So we can get started in this case. The presentation is about computer vision in web applications, that is, have the opportunity to work with community services in Azure and then integrating web applications with .NET. So feel free to write if you have questions, comments, ideas, and in this path we can exchange knowledge between each other. So I'm going to this part. I was introduced first. As an additional point, I work as a developer advocate with .NET Solutions, also as a software engineer with .NET Solutions as well. And always it's a whole pleasure to be able to participate in communities space because in that way we can exchange knowledge and in this way empower everything to achieve more between each other. I'm greeting you from Latin America region. So, hi. Feel free to ask or write in the section comments. And for this time, in this presentation, we will start talking about Azure Community Services, for then talk about the world of computer vision and the applications that we can do in this world. For then review a specific service in Azure, this particular thing, a custom vision, and then um, call that custom vision model from .NET Web Applications. At the end of the session, we can talk more about it. So we can get started in this moment. So um, we can first talk about Azure Community Services. Azure Community Services in general are services that provide the human side of our applications. How? With algorithms and machine learning techniques, for example, to have some scenarios. We can consider, for example, facial recognition or speak recognition as an additional part, for example, translate languages in text or in voice, and other scenarios that we can consider. Microsoft provides these services through Azure, the cloud computer platform of Microsoft. So, in the ecosystem of Azure Community Services, we can find some paths to work in it. The first section is about vision, to work in images field. For example, we can consider uh, have a photo, and in this photo or one person, and extract some attributes of this photo. For example, the emotion of the people, some attributes, for example, the age, the gender, and something like that. Also, in the vision field, we can work with video elements because at the end, the video is many images in sequence. In other path, we can also consider in Microsoft Community Services a speak section. for example, to recognize the voice of a specific person. Also, for example, a speaker recognition, um, speak, for example, to interpret the voice to text, text to voice, and also to do translator in text and in voice as well. As an additional part, we can consider the language section. In the language section, for example, we can uh, identify the intents of the user. For example, the user can express actions in a natural way. For example, hey, reminding me the community event of the Azure Developer Community this Thursday. So with this type of languages, we can analyze the intentions of the users. As an additional point, we can consider knowledge, for example, to have a knowledge base and create bots, for example. And the last part is search with Bing to search practically news, photos, and elements in the internet. Bing is like the Google, but Bing is the Microsoft. So this is the environment of Azure Community Services that we can consider here. And in our specific part, we will talk about vision. In this point, we'll introduce computer vision word. Computer vision word help us to analyze images and everything around us in images and also in video. For example, to classify images for example, to say, in this picture, one person have a mask or don't have a mask. Also to recognize objects. For example, here we see everything around us to recognize people, cars, animals, and everything around us. This is the world of computer vision, and today we can work in this type of solution. For example, if you remember many years ago in the movies, for example, oh, this scenario is very in the future, but today that is possible because the power of the cloud. Many data can process. We can process many data, and we can achieve that with the machine, with the cloud. Yeah, to have the opportunity in this case to analyze many data in a short time. And the computer vision scenarios can be included here. To work in these scenarios, we have some resources in Azure, for example, computer vision to work with many features. And also we can consider other one that is Azure Custom Vision to work in low code environment. What is low code? Low code is to work in, or in this case, to create machine learning models in a user graphical interface, practically with zero code or low code. So this resource allows you to create machine learning models in computer vision field. In this particular case, to identify objects in images or classify those. Yeah. So what is the idea of this resource? What is the methodology? As a first point, like an other machine learning model, we need the data. In this case, the images that we can use to train the model. So as a first point, we need to specify or upload the images to create our model. What with these images, we can train our model and generate a custom vision model for then evaluate it in specific scenarios. With this general modeling in general, yeah, we can later, for example, call like an API, this model, in our applications, web, desktop, everything. Because at the end, this model will be an API. The idea is, for example, send a request with the image, for example, and get the attributes. For example, to say, okay, this image have a person with mask or without mask, or to identify objects. For example, we will see the next scenario. Custom Vision app. We will create a demo. The object in this case is detection of objects in images. And in this case, um, as an example, we will identify bottles, faces, hats, guitars, and other elements to see this service in action, right? So I'm going to share my Explorer here to access to Custom Vision low-code portal. I'm going to stop here and share my screen again. Okay, you can see the screen now, and I'm going to this address, customvision.ai. In this platform, we can create models of custom vision in the low-code scenario. Remember that. So we can see the methodology here as well. Upload files, train the model, and evaluate it. So I'm going to sign in here. The idea is sign with the same Azure account that we have. For example, we can consider Azure for students or Azure free or other Azure subscription that we can have. So we can see here the projects. I have some projects created here. And also we can go to this section to create a new project. We can write the name here. I'm going to put here as this name in honor to the Azure developer community in India. The description is optional, and we have to specify the resource. The resource is Azure resource. We can create a new one here or go to the Azure portal to create a new one. So we can consider to create it here. The process is the same. Specify the name of the resource, the subscription here, the resource group to accommodate that resource, the kind of the resource here. There are something important. There is something important here because we can consider community services section, custom vision training, and custom vision protection. We need both of those because the idea is training a new model with images and then make predictions. So we can consider just one scenario or both of them. So I'm going to put here community services and finally the location. Remember, with the location, the idea is specified it as near as possible as to our location because the data need to travel, for example, for our location to the location in Azure. So, for example, in India, you can consider, for example, the Southeast Asia, for example. See, in this case, I already have a resource created here for custom vision, as you can see here. And now we have to specify the project types. Remember, we have two scenarios, classification and object detection. The idea here is object detection because we want to recognize barrels, guitars, and elements like that. And finally, the domain. We can specify, for example, our solution will be, for example, to recognize logos or products. For example, in classifications, we have more scenarios, for example, to say, it's food, landmarks, retail, and other scenarios. So in this case, it's object detection, and I'm going to leave this in general domain. We can create the project now, and this is the first part. Now, the idea is add the images, because that will be our data set. So to add our images, we can have categories. For example, objects of bottles, objects of hats, for example, and something like that. So I have an example here, for example, as a first point, bottles, images of bottles. Actually, I in Google I search barrel images and download it. So I'm going to select these images and open uh, this part. We can upload these files. The idea is to have 15 images per tag of, of, of objects. So this is the first images of barrels. So uh, for object detection, we have to open all images. And for example, custom vision we will help with us. For example, the service recognize, there is object here. We can select this and assign a tag to this object. For example, yes. So we can do the same for the other elements here. All of them are portals. And yeah, that this is the idea. Then when we do the same with other images of barrels, we can also, for example, add more images. I'm going to do the example for hats, for example, and load it. The process is the same. Upload, in this case, 22 files. And here we can consider, for example, let me try it with other image here. And this one. For example, to select the section, for example, custom vision says, this part is an object, but we can consider, for example, to select just this part and say, this section is a hat. And this other one, for example, is a face. We can personalize our model as we need it. Hat and face in the same image, right? And we can consider the same for the other images. For example, this one. This part is face, and this other one is hat. Okay, and we have to consider all of those because we need to tag everything. So in this section here, we can see the tag that we have at this moment: barrels, face, hat, and the number of images that we have here: one barrel, face 2, hat 2, and if I'm going to train here, we can consider two scenarios: keep training to do a fast process in a few minutes, for example. And the other option is advanced training. The advanced training allows you to, for example, to set a budget of time. For example, to say, okay, in 47 hours, find the best custom vision model and send me and notify me by email, for example. The training process won't take 7 hours, but we can take, for example, 5 hours, 10 hours, and the max of the time is 47 hours. So if we try to train here, we'll get an error because the idea is have at least 15 images for every tag. Those tags. So we have to tag 15 images to have the opportunity to train this model. I already have other projects here with images upload, virtual objects here. So we can see here, for example, barrels, face, guitar, hat, with 15 images list. We can go to the train section and, for example, train something fast. So for each iteration that is each training of this model, we can see here every iteration of this process. It is very fast. For example, I'm going to select this one. We can see some data of the result of the training, for example, the precision of our model, and something like that. For example, we can see the performance per tag. For example, here we can see, for example, for guitar objects, we can see this precision, 66% of precisions. The best one is for faces here, and the worst is the border, for example, just 50%. If we see something like this, for example, we can, for example, consider, hey, upload more files and more images to improve this performance, in this case, in the border section. So here we see a simple example. So for our proposers of the demo, it's fine. Yeah, this is the second step. The first one was upload the images. Now is the training. And finally, we can make some tests here in Custom Vision Portal. So here we can, for example, let me put this in this way. We can search one image here, select the interaction here, and load an image. For example, I'm going to load this image here with some elements. Okay, something interesting here that is that we have a threshold value of probabilities for edge prediction. For example, we can show all the objects found in, with the value 15% and more. We can change these, for example, to say I want, for example, to 77% and more of probabilities of these objects. So we can see here three objects. For example, this one, guitar, 99% of probabilities, face with 99% of probabilities as well, and the hat, 24% of probabilities. So that's fine. That's really fine because the data set was small with a few images. So wow, that we can consider these scenarios here. And now this is the idea with custom vision. Now, what happens if we want to use this model in our applications? We can consider as a first point in these setup sections here, we can see the details of our project. For example, we can see here the project name, the project ID. This is very important because we can go to this particular project to reference it. Here we can see, for example, the use of this project in this resource. For example, hey, 58 training images upload, the use of this model. We remain this value, the number of tags, but the most important thing here is the project ID and also the custom vision parameters, for example, the key and the endpoint. Yeah, these three ones. Endpoint to call this resource like an API, the key of the resource, and the project ID. As an additional part, we need the name of the iteration because we have like 5 models of custom vision here in this project. Let me go here to performance. We can publish here. Let me try to publish here. We can publish our model saying, this model will have this name, and also we need to specify the prediction resource, the thing that we took at the first of the sessions. We need our resource with functionalities to predictions, with training and predictions. In this particular case is for predictions. And we can publish here and refer to this particular model to use in our applications. Okay, this is all about custom vision in this part. I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm going to share my Visual Studio project to see how can we consider web applications to use this model. Probably I can, yeah, I'm going to share my project here. Okay, we have ready the project here, and we can review in this part. Let me show you API custom vision, this class. Let me open it. Okay, and let me explain this to call, in this particular case, one model of machine learning, or custom vision in this case, model. Okay, as a first point, remember, we need to specify the key of this resource and also the endpoint. Also, we have the publish model name. Remember, in the project, we have many models, and we need to specify one of them with the name, as we can see previously. So we have the key, the endpoint, we initialize it with the training API and prediction API. In this case, we will use the prediction API. And the project is here with the ID of the project in our custom vision resource. The method here in C#, the most important thing method is this one, detect objects, because we have a class here, and the idea is receive the tag name that is, for example, to receive a barrel, a guitar, or another element, and the probability of this object. So this method will return a list of tags, as you can see here. And what are the parameters? As a first point, the image file. Yeah, the image that we want to consider to classify, sorry, to detect the objects. And we can specify, for example, in this case, the image file out when save that image. So the idea is here, okay, take that image and prepare it to call the prediction API, that is to call to custom vision, and call to detect image. With what? With the project ID, with the model name, and with the file. Yeah. In this part, in this line, we are creating an HTTP request with the project ID, publish name, and string. In this case, the image. So that's it. We have the results here. It will be a list, a large list of all the objects returned from custom vision. And finally, for example, we can iterate those here, for example, to say, okay, in the results, we can take all the objects when the probability is more like 75%. So we can, for example, okay, prepare the data, for example, is for barrel, take the picture, color the section of this barrel, for example, and return it. The same, for example, for face, guitar, and hat. In our list, we can add the model. This model is the object. And finally, we can return the list of all the objects detected of the image. So this is the idea to call. As you can see, it's very, very easy to do. For example, we can do the same or consider the same logic, for example, if we work with Python, Java, and other programming languages. So I'm going to execute this application. And now I'm going to, to share my other window again. So I'm going to wait to execution of this project. And what is the idea of this project? The idea is, or let me load it. It's loading the project. Okay, it can take a little. I'm going to share my other window here. Okay, it's loading now. I'm going to share my other window here. Okay, it's loading the application. The idea of this application is, for example, have the opportunity to have a web application for example, to search one image and analyze it. And also we can consider, for example, take a picture to analyze it as well. So this is executing in my local host. So just seconds more to see it. Okay, just one moment more. Okay. Okay, we have to organize the demo here. Hello again. And okay, as I previously said, the idea is okay, have this section to take a picture, for example, and analyze it to recognize the objects detected. Oh no, and also we can search an image, load here, and we can see the results in this part. So we can go to do some examples in this moment. For example, the first one is to search an image. Okay, I upload the image here and I'm going to refresh to see this other one in this part. Okay, we can, with this button, call to the custom vision model to analyze the image and get the objects detected. Okay, we have here, for example, okay, in this image we can see face, guitar, and hat. Show me the image. Okay, I know that is very beautiful in the custom vision portal, but the idea here is, okay, identify the objects, for example, in this case, we can see the face detected, the hat, and also this guitar with these probabilities, right? So we can consider this type of examples here. I'm going to refresh the page. For example, we can take a picture. Let me take an object here to detect the image and try the scenarios. For example, let me put this here. For example, I have this hat. Everything is live. And this guitar. And the idea is to analyze this image. So I'm going to put something like this and take the picture. Okay. Let me put this in this part. Okay, the photo is here. And now we can analyze this image as well. I'm going to analyze the image in this part to see the results of this part. Okay. Okay, it's fine. We see here the hat in this part and the face. The guitar will not identify it, probably because we have to put the guitar in other part of the image to see more about it. But this is the idea. This is the type of scenarios that we can create. And this particular case, it was about computer vision, custom vision apps, but we can create many applications, for example, to translate images, not images, to translate languages and recognize the interaction and communication between devices and humans. And many scenarios that we can consider with Azure Cognitive Services, and we can integrate it in our solutions, in this case, in a .NET web application. So that's it. I really hope that you enjoyed this session and learn a little more about this. And if you have questions, comments, ideas, feel free to ask.
So like yes, it was an amazing session. Like really, you showed everything like in a practical way. So like even it can be a project for a beginner. Like if someone is a college student, he can have this as a project, like a face recognition and all. So then I just have a question. Like basically, what I have seen, the Azure provides a platform to like find the probability and everything. So like for the if we have something like a different model, so do Azure provide that for every model, like to find the probability? Like it can be a house prediction model, right?
Yeah, sorry, about what type of model?
I think yes. Okay. Like we can take an example like in Titanic model or house prediction model, like any prediction model we can take. So
Yeah,
do Azure provide that too with the probability?
yeah. For example, if I understand the question, sorry for my English. For example, in
Okay.
cognitive services, we have pre-built models, so we can personalize those. For example, here in custom vision. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we can get the probabilities for age prediction. For example, there are other services, for example, face API to get attributes in
Mm-hmm.
faces, emotions,
Basically, yeah.
and also we can consider the probabilities. Always, like an any machine learning model, we we have probabilities. For example, it will be depend of the performance that we need. For example, okay, in this case, in our example, 75 version of probabilities, it's fine for us. But probably in other scenarios, for example, if we have the scenarios to accept or reject a credit card request, we need a
Mm.
more probabilities, for example, 99% of probabilities to performance too, because there are many scenarios. So as a first point, okay, we talk about community services, pre-built scenarios, but if we want, for example, to create our own machine learning model, for example, we can consider Azure Machine Learning to specify the data in general, the flow and everything, because it's our own um, machine learning model, like in
Okay.
cognitive services that we personalize those. I hope
So
you.
like
Uh-huh.
eh, yes, yes, you continue, please.
No, sure, you can ask.
Okay. So if you have any beginner watching, like he want to know in a two line, like what is cognitive services or what is computer vision. So what we can define them?
What part?
Like what is cognitive services? We have a beginner. He want to understand what is cognitive services. So how we can define in it two line?
The cognitive services in general. How can we define?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like what's cognitive services? A general question.
okay, to define the cognitive services, we have to create resources in Azure like another one. For example, in this case, was about custom vision. But if we want, for example, Face API,
I
we
think my
can
question
go.
is not clear to you. I was just asking what is cognitive services.
Okay, the cognitive services, in
It's not like
general,
a definition. It's not like a definition. Like just a beginner type question. If anyone want to know, if we have a many beginners, so they want to start with that.
yeah,
So how they can help?
in general, the cognitive services allows you to use machine learning models pre-built,
Hmm.
like an Azure resource, and to integrate in our applications. Most of
Yes.
them are in a low-code environment.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft is taking efforts to do that. For example,
Yes.
recently we saw a new resource, language. That other Azure Community Services is the unification, for example, for text analytics, Maker, and language understanding. This new resource is language, this name language, and the idea is, for example, is the same. Access to a low-code portal with graphical user interface and create
Hmm.
our machine learning models, personalize it. And to do that, we need to create resources in Azure.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Yes. So like thank you, thank you. I think like most of our like people will be watching it, and they will be putting the question in the comment section, and we will be always there
Sure.
to help you. Like our team will be there, so they will be also helping you in the comment section, and I will also check it out once. And thank you so much, Dan, for like sharing amazing knowledge and amazing
With the
content with
guitar and
us.
hats.
So yes, nice to meet you, and hope to meet you soon in the next session in August, September, whenever you get free to share your knowledge with us.
Sure, sure, sure. Thank you for you too. If you, in general, if everyone have questions, comments, ideas, we can have a communication between each other. You can find me in social networks, in all of the social networks as ES Daniel Gomez, or if you feel better, write me for email, Daniel at
Yeah, this
esdanielgomez.com.
mail ID and all thing I'll share here, so you can check the slide too.
So
Sorry.
yeah, and in this case, thank you very much. Gracias in Spanish. Thank you for this
Okay,
space, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah,
thank
I
you.
hope to see you in future initiatives.